And I just think that, like, sometimes, whatever. Yeah.
Whatever.
I don't want to come across as, like, a snob.
Yeah, I don't want to be a snob. I don't want anyone to, like, portray me.
As soon as I hit record, you turned into a fucking asshole.
Nuh-uh.
No.
Fuck you.
Fuck you, dude. I didn't do it. No. That's you.
That's me.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm the problem. It's me. Or we gotta get started. We have to start the right way, which is
M.
Soup.
Ooh, that was a new one.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to SMSoup, the #1 podcast with soup in the name and not in the brain. I'm Spencer.
And I'm Shelby.
And together we're here with a weird light over my left shoulder.
Oops.
To take you on a journey through life's biggest questions like, waiter, how is this soup made? Welcome. Give it up for episode 99.
Woo-hoo.
Episode 99, ladies and gentlemen.
Snaps all around.
Almost 2 full seasons of SMSoup.
Yeah, and this is the last
your
one.
Brains, waves, eardrums. We bang that drum. We bang.
No, we don't.
No, we don't. We're married.
That's when it all goes downhill.
All downhill.
Well-
Fellas, is there... This is for the fellas out there.
Oh,
Fellas,
yeah.
is there anything worse than getting married to a woman?
Okay, one guy who's silently listening to this podcast, and he's in a
Our only
public
listener.
space. He's in a public space, and you said that, and he went, "Yeah!" And everyone turned and looked.
And he said, listen to SMSoup.
Yeah.
The #1 the #1 podcast with soup in the name. Fuck off. I can do it
Soup in the name,
flawlessly.
but not on the brain.
I can do it flawlessly for the intro. It's like I go into a fugue state.
Uh huh.
And I flub it everywhere
I have to
else.
flip the switch right before we start every time, or else that happens.
Yeah, you turn me on. Yeah. Yeah, baby.
Oh boy, Spencer, how you doing? Yeah, I'm taking over. No, I'm not. I don't do the intro. I don't do shit.
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's been a weird week.
Has been a weird week.
By weird week, about weird 72 hours,
Weird.
48 hours, 24 hours, 36 hours.
36
I don't
hours.
math it.
36 hours almost on the dot.
It's been weird, dude.
Shall we?
Yeah, we shall.
Yeah, we shall. So, a hurricane came bustling through.
Yeah. Which I hope if, I don't know if it's Helen,
I think it is Helene.
whatever it is, the E on the end throws me off.
Yeah.
Obviously, if it came through your area, I hope you are safe. And hopefully minimal damage. Of course, we did get pretty lucky.
Oh my
But,
god.
Of course, we keep hearing about other areas, and that is devastating.
And it's crazy how much like power this thing has inland.
Yeah.
This thing is
Yeah.
messing places up.
Yes, which is very scary.
Places that
so-
normally do not need to worry
Correct.
as much about hurricanes.
Correct. So,
Normally.
if there's any way you can help, I know there's already lots of
Yes.
relief efforts being done, collecting donations, things like that. Obviously, if there's anything you can do or that you're aware of, or even you just have people in your community who, whatever, anything from home damage to whatever possibly happened, any way you can help, it's like good time to just think of anything you can do.
And by the time you're listening to this, it's probably 72 hours too late, but check in on people.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, it was very nice that, for the most part, people were maybe a little late to the party, but they checked in,
Yeah.
And, again, we were
fine.
We were fine, and,
thankfully,
like,
yeah.
Charlotte as a whole.
Yes,
A lot of
yes.
power outage, but that was mostly from the wind.
Yeah.
It really wasn't a ton of real bad flooding or anything like that.
Mm.
I say that, and, like,
I think it was very region to region.
it's like when you go, like, it's hot here,
Right.
and then somebody in Alaska's like, oh, you think it's hot there?
Yeah.
Buddy, it's hot here.
It hit
Yeah.
35 today.
So, it's one of those things.
Yeah,
But yeah, like, for the most part, nothing real crazy. Like, we've had rainstorms.
Yeah.
That have been, like, worse in terms of, like, water.
Mm-hmm.
This was definitely the worst we've seen in terms of, like, debris.
Yes.
debris all over the place. A lot of downed trees,
Mm-hmm.
which then led to a lot of like power outages, which again, thankfully with where we're at in North Carolina, and I think just like probably North Carolina as a whole, the weather's kind of perfect right now.
Yeah.
And so like being without power and like without AC for a day, maybe two, like not really gonna
No,
be too terrible.
It could be much worse. So
Florida,
much worse.
however,
Yeah.
this is still a terrible time to be without air conditioning in Florida. So like definitely feel for those people.
Mm-hmm.
We lost power.
Mm-hmm.
We lost power for a full 24 hours basically.
Yeah.
Which was very weird because we went out and just around a little bit yesterday, and like one block
It was literally
off of our road,
block.
either way,
Yeah. Was
had
totally
power.
fine. Yeah.
And then like 4 blocks down our road had power, and probably 4 blocks the other way had power.
Yeah.
So it was very contained, which is
Yeah.
also good.
Yeah.
All things considered. But yeah, having no power on a Friday led to very weird,
just like weird energy.
Vibes, weird energy.
It was really funny. We again, thankfully, that was the literal worst of it,
Yeah.
meaning nothing happened.
Right.
But it was funny on a social standpoint, a personal, somewhat psychological standpoint, and then beyond, which we can get into, and then beyond that, a social standpoint. Because we knew quite a few people who were like, I'm in the same boat as you, and so we're all, texting each other updates. Kind of stupidly, not many of us had super prepared for the situation. Like, we all were kind of like, I guess we should go find food at some point because none of us can make food of any kind, and not many of us had like easy to snack on stuff. Anyway, like going out and about a little bit, everyone was just hanging out outside because it was definitely cooler outside than inside. At least there was moving air.
Yeah.
And there was nothing else to do. Like I like laughed and I was like, this is everyone realizing, or not necessarily realizing, but being reaffirmed all of their activities involve electricity. Like this is everyone going like, I knew that internally, but I haven't been faced with that reality in a really long time, that everything I elect to do for fun involves internet.
Yeah.
And especially when you're in complexes, like you don't have generators, you don't have backup options, you just have nothing. Like at least a few houses you could see had generators and stuff going, but so many complexes are in the area, so everyone's just like out on their balcony. Like it's the most social a space has ever looked, truly.
Yeah.
Like in our time of living here, which it's kind of like sad in one way if you really want to dive into the psychological part of that. But also just like kind of interesting. Everyone's just out walking, and it was like a weirdly beautiful day right afterwards. Like,
oh my God. Yeah.
Weirdly beautiful. So it was just weird. Like it was weird. Like it gave weird energy to the whole day. And you could tell everyone was kind of like, you just gave each other like a knowing look of like, yeah, this is what we're all doing right now. But yeah. How'd you fare, Spencer?
I didn't get coffee.
You didn't get coffee. That was pretty bad.
Feel like that already, like
that set the tone for the day.
So I had a headache around 4.
Yeah.
Finally.
Your caffeine addiction really caught up to you.
I'm assuming that's what that was.
Yeah. That's probably pretty right.
I was kind of explaining it to you where it sounds so crazy. So again, it was on a Friday, and it sounds so crazy to say, but like I almost wish it would have happened on Saturday. Which is like, why would you want it to like dip into your like weekend?
Mm-hmm.
But like my weekend wouldn't have been ruined.
Yeah.
Because like, what did I end up doing? So I played Binding of Isaac on my Vita.
Mm-hmm.
Could have killed the whole day doing that.
Yeah.
But eating away at the back of my head was like, I had shit that I needed to do for work.
Yeah.
Like time crunch.
Time sensitive.
Time sensitive. Thank you.
Not activities,
Things.
But yeah.
Tasks.
Yes, tasks.
That I like had to do. So like that was kind of just eating away at the back of my head. So like I couldn't enjoy. Like when you're like, oh, I'm sick, I can't go to school. It's like, but you have an essay you need to write. So it's just like, well, I can't just sit on the fucking couch playing video games all day.
Right.
Like, so yeah. So that kind of sucked and ruined it for me a
Yeah.
good bit because again, I could have played
Ruined your snow day.
video games all day.
Yeah, you could have, but you couldn't. It's electricity.
Well, I couldn't play my PlayStation.
Yeah.
But again, I was playing my Vita.
Yeah.
And then I have a backup Vita.
Mm-hmm.
And my 3DS is probably held charge. So I probably could have played those. Like, I definitely had activities. But yeah, it was just like eating away at me. And then somewhat the worst part about it was that you had plenty of stuff that you could do.
Yeah.
And like needed to do because you were prepping for a market that we then had today, the day after. So you had plenty of things to do, and there wasn't really much I could do to help. Like when you were like, "Oh, let's pack up the car," I was like, "Let's go." Now I have something I can do.
Yeah.
Like, and like move around and do stuff. But I think about it, and I'm like, if it was Saturday, right? Today not being the perfect example because we had a market, but like, let's say it's 7:30 a.m. on Saturday. We have nothing for the day, and we lose power. We're gonna kill the day. We have board games.
Yeah,
we have like
it
it
would
would
be
be
a
the
good
perfect excuse to play the board games. It would, you know what I mean? And like for a minute, I was contemplating opening some of my Pokemon cards.
Yeah,
but I was just like, ugh. Again, I just like felt like I couldn't shake the feeling of like I have work I need to be doing. Like it literally ruined it for me. It ruined all of it for me.
Yeah.
I've on a Friday opened Pokemon cards. But like I've done it at 3 p.m. after I've gotten all my daily tasks done for work, and I just have my computer open in case somebody reaches out, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So that was like, it kind of ruined it for me.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was not doing great in a situation where I feel like I've been born
to thrive.
in.
Yeah.
Because while all of my tasks typically involved needing electricity. It's the great thing about handheld gaming, baby. They have a charge. So yeah, if they die, you can't. But like, at least you got something out of them.
Yeah.
You know, so you can like, it can help you kill some time, which is nice. But yeah, you had everything like you needed to do, so like it didn't really affect you too much. You had certain things that you wanted to try and get done like for it, but like all in all, you still had plenty of stuff that you could do without the need of electricity.
Correct.
And like, you were like, I'm just preparing for my market tomorrow.
There was in like the weirdest way of being like, this was actually helpful. It's all the little stuff that I will push off because I'm like, oh, this is just something small I can do like in the evening quick. And then I'm prepping until like 10 p.m. at night.
Yeah.
So in that way, yeah, I was actually pretty, productive because it's all the stuff I avoid doing for the longest time. But I mean, again, I'm not even complaining. Like it's fine. There were like, yes, running a sewing machine requires electric, so there were things I couldn't do. But the thing that kept cracking me up is I have never, which this is not good, had to sit in silence for so long. Which I feel like you probably had a very similar. I guess you did play audio of your game a little bit.
I was just to kind of fill out the noise
because that was for me the weirdest part.
Because normally I'll play games on mute because we normally have something else going.
And I always have a podcast or music or something going. And as we got through the day, it was clear that we had no concept of when we were going to get power. So I was like, it's not even worth risking like my battery over it. Like it's not. Like I'm an adult. I will live. I won't love it, but I'll be totally fine. And that was the weirdest thing was I almost kept reaching for my phone to turn something on because I had like literally never sat in silence for so many hours straight. That was the weird part to me.
Yeah.
Which again is like so stupid, but I feel like a lot of people probably felt that. They were just like, you're sitting there debating like what is worth draining a battery over.
Yep.
And I guess depending on how often you're put in the situation and what you've had to deal with will determine how you feel about that. But yeah, that was that for me was the funniest thing was truly sitting in silence and just like hearing like the scissors cutting something, me just sitting there silently. Like it was just that was weird.
Yeah.
Which like it shouldn't be, but it was. So yeah, I just kept like joking about like this is the longest I've ever sat in my thoughts. But I will say, whether this is a weird lowering anxiety coping mechanism or what, my brain was like, it was kind of like, oh, we're just like camping.
Yeah.
We're just camping. It's gonna get a little muggy when we go to sleep. It's gonna be like it was weird walking Milady, and it was absolutely silent.
And it was pitch black.
And it was pitch black, and you just heard bugs. Like that does not happen.
Yeah.
Obviously living in a city. And so I literally like being out there for the first like minute, I had started with a flashlight because I was like trying to make sure I didn't like.
And then your eyes adjusted.
And then my eyes adjusted, and I was like, oh, this is weird. Like I look stupid having a flashlight right now. Like I can see. So I turn it off, and then it hits for me for a moment. I'm like, it's just so quiet. It's quiet. It's dark. And I'm like, but also I hear everything. And I really had a moment where I was like trying not to kind of get a little anxious.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, it literally just feels like I'm camping.
Yeah.
Like this is like if you go to like a campsite, like where there's multiple sites all next to each other. Like this is just like, oh, you hear people, like you hear the crunching of the shoes as people walk to the bathroom at like 11 p.m. Like yeah, like that's what it felt like. And I was like, oh, we're just camping. Like it's like that was the soothing sentence in my head, was like, yeah, we're just camping. And like we opened the windows because I was like, well, there's no air inside, might as well open them and hope for the best. And hearing the mosquito, like hearing hearing bugs out the window, and like I'm like, it's a little warm, but I'm not uncomfortable. That's literally on my brain. I was like,
you were sweating this morning.
Was I?
Oh my god, dude, you're
I
nasty.
Can't say I noticed, but like I didn't wake up because of it.
You were wet, and not in the good way.
But I was like,
we're married.
I was just like, oh, we're just laying in the tent.
Yep.
And like it's a little warm, it's a little muggy.
Yeah, the sheet that you lay down on the air mattress is maybe starting to stick to you a little bit.
Yeah, like a little bit. Yeah, like that's the sentence that kept playing in my head.
It was so funny because I woke up, we had to get up early, and so of course my stupid ass wakes up an hour before the alarm before we need to wake up. And I don't really know why, but I have like one of those charging docks next to the bed that like can charge your watch, your phone, and your wireless headphones.
Yeah.
Right. And you can place them all on there and everything will charge.
Yeah.
In this nice little station. I love it. And for whatever reason, I was just like, I'm just going to put my phone on it and see if anything happens. I put my phone on it and my phone lights up. It's charging. I notice also at the same time that my phone says I have Wi-Fi and my watch says it's fully charged. And the light on the docking station starts flashing.
Yeah.
And so then I roll over and I'm like, Shelby.
What time do you think this was?
It was like 6. It was like 6.
Yeah.
Basically, like 6:10 maybe.
Yeah.
I go, Shelby, I think we have power.
Yeah.
Which, why I set it up like that was dumb because like I know we have power of all the signs, but like, you know, it's 6 a.m. You just woke up. You're kind of like, not
I could
in
be
it.
delirious.
And you go, you don't even say anything. You roll over and you have a lamp next to the bed that is as bright, especially at 6 a.m, as 1,000 suns. And you just tap it and it illuminates and you tap it again and you go, oh yeah.
No, then I go, how'd you figure it out? After I've blinded both of us, I'm like barely awake. Like I'm like,
you've like Men in Black like
I flashed us. Yeah.
Flashed me. So it's like, I'm like, how did I figure out what?
Yeah, I tap it. I can remember I barely had my eyes open, but I could obviously feel and see through my barely open eyes that I had just gotten blinded. I turn it off and I like roll back over and I'm already half asleep again.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, how'd you figure it out? And then like, I know I heard your answer and then I was definitely out within a minute after.
Yeah, well, then I was like, you want me to turn the fan on? And you're like, yeah. And you're like, I'll get it. And I was like, no, I got it. You sleepy, comfy bitch.
I was like, ooh, I'm going to sleep extra good for this next hour now.
Yeah.
Fan? But yeah, it was very funny.
So yeah, you like... losing power is like the quickest way to humble yourself because you realize how dependent you are and what a luxury electricity is.
Yeah.
I mean, it should be a basic good for everybody, right?
Yeah.
But like, it really is a luxury, like that we all are living in a time where electricity is what it is.
Yeah.
You know? It's like such a shame that there are like so many people who like don't have electricity, or like countries,
or don't have dependable,
right?
or
And it's
or
like
it's so expensive.
it's so upsetting.
You can't, yeah.
Because like everybody should have, like, this should just be a basic need, like, met for everybody. Like
Yeah.
it's so silly. But like you like I would genuinely say like your quality of life without electricity is like much worse than like when you have electricity.
I mean, well, I think it depends like what you're using it for, and you can argue some of those things that it definitely makes your life like easier and better.
Right.
So yeah, I guess I do agree with what you're saying.
Like, and I'm not saying you can't live without it, obviously,
Yeah,
right? Because
yeah.
plenty of people do, and like in some ways it's like almost a shame that we're so dependent on it. But
Yeah.
like again, it's like a thing that is available and like should be more widespread available to everybody,
Yes.
right? And it's like it literally like takes stuff to another level. It allows us to do this type of shit, right? It allows
Yeah.
for widespread communication. It
Yeah.
allows for, you know, you to have like
I mean, fucking heating and cooling.
forms of entertainment. It has all the things that help you stay comfortable. It, right? Like it regulates your temperature.
Mhm.
Like it's all these things. And again, it's posh, it's privileged, it's all this other stuff, but like it's crazy, like really how fortunate like
Oh my
we
God,
are.
yeah.
And I don't think enough people appreciate it until you lose power.
What do you think there was like a biannual like no power day? Like what if it started as like
Here's the thing. Does somebody force you into it? Or is it like a
activity,
or is it like
a ground
yeah,
grassroots?
we
like,
all just agree to do it. Because here's
I
the
hear
thing.
you. That will change the viewpoint of it.
C words are not going to do that.
No, I know.
They're not going to go for it.
Cowards? Yeah.
Yes, cowards. What did I say?
No, I know.
I said C words.
Yeah.
C words.
Yeah.
Cowards.
Those wards. No, I know.
So
I'm
if
just
it was
about
like
it.
government initiative
Yeah.
on this day,
Yeah.
we found the optimal day where you don't need heat and you don't need cooling.
Yeah.
It's that perfect time of year. It would have to be state by state probably. We're not going to have any power.
Yeah.
For that day. People would die.
Like I mean, when I say like no power, I can already hear people being like, "What about people who need it?"
Right.
And that's obviously not what I'm fucking talking about. It's like leisure electricity, like all the shit we were complaining about not having on like the other day. That's the shit I'm
but
talking
also
about.
like the fragility of infrastructure.
No, I know.
Like, what about people who need it? Should anybody truly need electricity?
Well, like there are people who are gonna be like hospitals.
Okay,
Like I'm sorry,
those
I'm
people
taking
can
the
get that.
dumb internet take on it, not like.
But like somebody who's like, oh, to live, I require electricity in my house.
Yeah.
It's like that's probably not good.
Yeah.
Because power outage, like, what happens if a power outage happens?
Okay, so like we know we're not having power for a day. Like, what are we eating?
Probably PB&Js.
PB&Js, baby.
Like, we're probably gonna have cereal, and we're probably gonna have, PB&Js.
Because that was
if we
definitely
would have had bread, that would have been our dinner last night.
Yeah, that would have been our dinner. I know. We foolishly did not have the makings for French toast. And I can hear you asking, did you do anything to prep for this? No. Well, that's not true. We did have food, just not like the whole you should have milk, eggs, and bread. The classic makings for French toast. We did not have the bread portion of that. So that's true. We definitely would have just had PB&J. I'm trying to be like, is there another not electric needing sandwich? But
Yeah. Any sandwich.
how do you keep the meat cold?
Oh, well, I would imagine that your fridge is cold and then is shut off
No,
and
you're right.
maintains coolness. How's your jelly stay cold? You want to be, but so what about people who need electricity? That's you. That's you right there.
It's not me.
That was you. What about hospitals? What about your bologna? How are you going to keep that cold?
Baloney this.
You're full of it.
Oh my god.
Baloney, that is. So yeah, we braved it. Wow.
Wow. We made it.
No, but I mean, like people checked in, like, our parents and stuff, and it's like, I can't even begin to act like this is a problem, right? Like, there are plenty of
Yeah, oh
people
my
who
God,
are
yeah.
like, oh, I was
No,
without power for a
no.
full day.
No, if
It's
anything,
like-
we were just laughing at like the mild, like the self-awareness you gain through that
Yeah.
experience. It was literally never like, oh my God. Like, and people who were like, whatever you feel about corporations running our electric, I probably agree with you. But getting mad at the workers for like going out there and not doing it fast enough or in the way you think is insane to me. Cause like they're literally like oftentimes probably putting themselves in harm's way.
Potentially, yeah.
Potentially. And like, I mean,
They're braving the conditions.
they're braving the conditions.
Which thankfully, again, by like,
where we
lost
weren't
power
bad.
at 7:30 a.m. and by noon
it was sunny.
it was
and
beautiful.
fine.
It was like a perfect day.
Yeah. So thankfully,
and you would not know outside of the trees across streets that
anything
there was
happened. Yeah. Right. And we were obviously in a very fortunate place for that. And yet, but like you hear the number of outages, and it's like there is humanly no
why
way.
Don't I have power?
Right. Like that take hurts me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you're an idiot. You know what? Go ahead. Go. I mean, don't do this. This is definitely very dangerous. Yeah. You go out there and you fix it. You go out there, get that tree down, and you fix the line, please. I'd love to see you try it. Like, I just can't do that take. Like, it sucks, but like, we're gonna live, guys. Like, I promise, like, everyone here, like, we're good.
Yeah.
So, like, let them do their job and do it right and do it
there
safely.
are people who probably have been without power and still do not have power.
Yeah, absolutely.
Within us losing and then gaining it back.
For a day. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Like, when people are like, oh man, hope everything's okay. It's just like,
like it could be so much worse.
That like we experienced no damage, no water got in.
Yeah, like we were so fortunate. Yeah, no,
lost
truly.
Power.
Yeah, I know. And
it was kind of a freak accident.
I know. Like we were just in an unfortunate block that
could have been the other block.
I know. Yeah. So it's one.
And
of those
we would have
things.
been none the wiser. And I would have had my coffee, and I would have been happy.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things. It's like in all these situations, like the best thing you can do is obviously with your best ability have like patience with people, with yourself, with everything, because no shit, it's an inconvenience. Like obviously everyone's inconvenienced.
It's so funny that people literally view them being inconvenienced worse than like somebody fucking dying.
Yeah, or having to like evacuate their home because of unsafe conditions.
The awareness.
Yes.
To like be able to take a step back and be like, I'm getting a little too worked up about this.
Right. Like we're not saying have a party. We're just saying like,
or do if that's what helps.
But like, dude, just sit.
And let it be a wake up call to make sure you have activities.
Yeah, I think this is a good. Everyone should analyze their activities. The best. Okay, so I did want to ask you this question. All of your handhelds have died.
Yeah.
What do you do? Board game. You board game?
Yeah. The problem was, I had like, what better situation to be in to lose power than to be with somebody else?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Right? Like if I'm on my own and all my devices die, what am I doing?
Yeah.
That I do not know.
After the first 2 minutes, you've done that, and then you're like, now what do I do?
Oh, you're saying, yeah, I'm probably just gonna keep going at it.
Whoa,
I'm gonna be raw
oh, no.
down there. Masturbate is the joke. In case that wasn't clear.
Yeah.
2 minutes, you're too kind.
I know. But yeah, I guess.
I actually don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Because yes, obviously, like, we would play a game together.
But that would literally be, But it was so unfortunate that like, you're like, I got responsibilities of things that I can do.
I have a good bit I have to do actually. Yeah.
So you couldn't give me the time.
I couldn't hang out.
Yeah, dude, I don't know.
You're like, maybe I'd crack open a book. Oh God, no, I would never.
Probably, actually. I guess that would be the move, but that's tough because, it gets dark at 7, 8
Oh,
o'clock.
100%.
And like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to read by flashlight.
No, that's the worst.
It's really bad for your eyes.
It is.
That's why one of us wears glasses
It is.
and the other has perfect vision. I'll let you figure out who that is.
Kids, don't read. You'll keep
One
your
of
eyes.
us has perfect vision. The other is Shelby. For those who are listening, because they can't see.
Yeah. I do think that's interesting because that's the conclusion I immediately came to was what are people doing right now? Like people who are obviously in a not life-threatening situation.
Scrolling on their phones.
Yeah, killing their battery.
Yep.
Within an hour.
Yep.
And then what? Probably texting absolutely anyone who has power and driving around and finding somewhere who has power so they can recharge their phone and re-scroll on their phone.
Yeah. No, yeah, my move is probably that. My move is probably, all my devices died. I'm going to go find somewhere where I can charge them.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go hole up again in my place and play my games until the power comes back. I would probably read a book too. You'd
crack it open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be the best and most effective way to probably kill the time.
Yeah.
The only problem would be that you
dark.
get a little restricted in terms of like the witching hours.
The dusk and evening hours.
The witching hours of it's 7 p.m. I'm not tired.
Yeah.
But what other activity can I do? I guess I'm just going to go to bed.
Yeah.
But that's so hard. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really do not know.
Yeah, that was something I just kept thinking about. I feel like there's something else I wanted to say. Now I'm blanking.
I mean, if I have cards, like I can play solitaire.
Right.
But like...
But even that's a pretty light-based activity.
100%. Sorry, 100%. I'm just coming up with other things that I would be able to do.
Spoons, one person.
That's the problem. Like, not many like board games. Actually, some board games, like some of the ones we have, I could probably just play on my own.
Yeah.
But
it is very interesting to think about. I remember as a kid, we came from an area that lost power pretty frequently. You even more than me.
Mm-hmm.
I, as a kid, found them like really fun, because I had very little of the stress of handling the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, to me, they were literally tonight's a game night.
Yeah.
We're going to pull out all the lanterns we have. We'll bring in all of our camping gear and set up. We're all in the main room where there's light.
Yep.
This is like before we had a generator or anything, or maybe we had a generator that covered the fridge. Maybe. Yeah. And yeah, like I knew it was a game night. And it was like, or maybe you could get away with reading here and there, depending on time of day.
Yep.
I like looked forward to that. Like I was like excited when because I knew there was a chance we wouldn't have school if we were losing power. Normally our district would give us a day or so. And it was just like, it's games. It's time for games.
Yeah.
What else is there to do? And it's really funny to think about that now. That it's like, now obviously being the person who like, I'm renting. I'm not physically fixing anything, but I am like the person who faces the repercussions for there not being power, like directly. And it's just, it's funny, but because like now it's not like, it doesn't have the same whimsy it used to have.
Yeah.
But like you can still
again, growing up,
activities.
Like what would we do? We would play our handhelds.
Yeah.
But you charged them knowing that there was a real possibility.
Yep.
So we'd play handhelds.
Mm-hmm.
We like, and again, in that situation, it's like I had my brother.
Yeah.
And my brother and I didn't really like each other. But,
But when you got only each other.
When you have only each other and in a shitty situation, it's like that's when we would play board games. That's when we would play. I'm trying to think what the hell my parents did because we weren't like a big board game family.
Yeah.
Like my brother and I played games together. But it was very rare to get my parents in on that.
Yeah.
They were just kind of there.
I just remember them being there.
I don't really remember them doing anything.
I don't think they did much. That's funny.
Which is, I think, why it was so terrible when we lost power. And then we eventually got to the point where like, and we had a really small generator. Like
Yeah.
this thing was not putting out a ton of power.
Yeah.
So like it was like one of those things where it's like, or it probably sorry, I lie. It did put out a good bit of power. But like you can only plug so much into a generator or stuff like that, right? So it's
Yeah.
like we had our fridge
Yep.
plugged into it and like
And then you'd have to like cycle it out if you were like trying to do something else.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we had a family friend who was an electrician and he hooked it up that there's a port now at my parents' house where when they lose electricity, they hook the generator up to that and it's hooked up to the breaker box.
That's smart.
And they turn everything off except the living room outlets and the kitchen for the refrigerator and probably the garage because they have like a second freezer out there for like overstock basically. And so it's probably only that. And they can flip the refrigerator. I think they flip the kitchen off and then can flip on like the hot water heater and take a hot shower.
Yeah.
And it's like, so it like puts out enough.
Yeah.
Like the generators are good, like they can handle it, but normally you're restricted, but like, yeah, hooking up to a breaker box is a game changer. And it's probably a thing that a lot of houses do, honestly, anymore, especially in like the area where we grew up and stuff. But it was like something that we had never known of or thought of.
I remember it took quite a few years for us to have a generator that
could like
actually handled like a good portion of the house. Because we literally, I can picture we'd be sitting in the dining room, the whole house would be black.
Yeah.
I think maybe our fridge was running.
And again, like it couldn't do like the heat or anything like that. So like
you're bundled.
We had a fireplace and like for the longest time that was just a wood fireplace.
Yeah.
Honestly, that was probably better because once it was a gas fireplace, you're going through that shit and they're not going to come fill it.
Yeah, we had to be really careful.
But we had a pellet stove too in like the basement, so that would bring heat up. But yeah, I mean, and then you think about like all the situations that like didn't have something like that, which like again where we grew up a lot of places probably had a fireplace.
Most houses were like either
or like
built
a wood
from
stove
old farmhouses
or
ranch houses, so most probably had some fireplace in the middle or the end of the house at some point or another.
And that's the room, that's
that's where you hang out.
hanging out in.
Absolutely.
Sleeping bags and
that's what we would
bundled
do.
up.
We'd pile the dogs in there and just all basically sleep on a pile. Maybe my parents would sleep on a couch if they like were comfortable enough. Yeah, absolutely. I know, but there was like, again, as like a child, there was something kind of like fun about that. Like it was just different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like how you get excited about like a sleepover.
It's how you get excited about changing up your room.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
it's
there
like
was
that level where it's like, oh my God, things are a little different. And
this is kind of fun. And like we're breaking all the rules.
You're a little uncomfortable, but like it's okay. It's like fun, uncomfortable.
Right. So it's like, it's just so interesting to think about. And yeah, I don't know.
And somehow we got 40 minutes out of
that. Really, I cannot iterate enough. Obviously, I know we had basically nothing to talk about in regards to this whole situation. Just the funny construct of technology today, basically, is what we really were commenting on for 40 minutes. Again, really hope everyone is safe and wherever they need to be. And again, if you know anyone who's like in the areas that the hurricane has or is passing through, like reach out to them.
Yeah.
And again, like if you know of any like relief efforts or collections, I mean, some people are just like, again, in situations like this, people need blankets, clothes, things like that, like anything that you'd be willing to give. Obviously money is always fine too, but I understand that's not always just the easiest to give up. Yeah, just if you're just keep an ear out in case you hear of anything that you think you could be of help to. It's really important because again, we can laugh about this whole thing, but there are lots of people. We can laugh about our experience in this. There are lots of people who are currently very much not having a good time or having a very, very bad time.
Yeah.
So, obviously, be safe out there. And it feels really weird to plug us after having said all of that. So I'm not going to. If you need any further information, it's in the description. Next week, we're going to do our 100th episode. We're pumped. So just tune in for that.
Kind of the like unofficial season 2 finale in a way.
Not
it's
that
going to
we
be very
ever really
special.
had an official season 1 finale.
Shut your mouth.
Okay. We'll see you next week. We're excited. Spencer's been talking about this for weeks.
it might be our greatest bit
You think so?
we've ever done.
I don't think we can say that before we've done it.
I think it is already in on paper, in theory.
Best bit. All right. Well, you can let us know next week if you think it was our best bit yet. So we'll see you then. Thank you for being here.